Britain needs a Labour Party that can rebuild after this defeat, so we can have a government that stands up for working people again. And now it's time for someone else to take forward the leadership of this party. So I'm tendering my resignation, taking effect after this afternoon's commemoration of VE Day at the Cenotaph.
The deadline for nominations in the Labour leadership contest is midday. The final contender, Jeremy Corbyn, hasn't yet got enough support.
He needs about a nomination every 5 minutes. It's going to be very, very tight.
It got to 10 seconds before the close of nominations, and 2 of them cracked.
We've got to be strong enough and credible enough to do it, not just pretend that money will come out of thin air by printing it. Let's have a strong, real alternative.
We
should work together on doing that, but you're not doing so because you're offering people false hope instead.
I'm very pleased that you accept that the politics of austerity is one of the problems we face. We went into the last election promising cuts. We went into the 2010 election promising cuts. Are we going to go into a 2020 election because Osborne will not have balanced the books by that stage, saying, well, an incoming Labour government, the first thing we've got to do is make more cuts in order to make ourselves credible. I say invest to grow.
Yes,
you can't cut your way to prosperity. You grow your way to prosperity.
The meetings that we had in Scotland were full of people saying, if this is the Labour Party of the future, I'll be back. They want to come back to us. They have to have a reason to come back to us.
Saturday will be the 100th event. We will know the result. And I'm looking forward to that with interest.
The new Labour leader will be announced this morning. Many in the party now expect it to be Jeremy Corbyn.
Before we head on down, can I just say to all of you, thank you very, very much for a fantastic 100 days campaigning.
Jeremy Corbyn, 251,000.
We celebrate an amazing triumph and an amazing victory, an amazing inclusive campaign, united together, wanting to achieve something better and something decent, a society based on socialist values. Together we are very, very strong. Thank you very much.
You did it, Jeremy.
It was possible.
It's beyond my wildest dreams.
But it has become increasingly clear that there is growing concern in the Shadow Cabinet, in the Parliamentary Labour Party, about his leadership. And I said to him that I no longer had confidence in...
Did you call him first?
I had no longer had confidence in his leadership. He's a good and decent man.
So was it hard
He's
for
a good
you?
and decent man, but he is not a leader, and that is the problem.
I'm one of the nearly 130,000 people to have joined the Labour Party since the referendum. In my case, I have rejoined after a gap of nearly 20 years with the simple aim of getting rid of Jeremy Corbyn. And if I have to pay an extra £25 to vote him out, so be it.
I think that the coup against Corbyn is a disgrace. I think the Labour Party should be using this time to band together and to attack. I think it's completely undemocratic. Corbyn's been given the biggest party mandate of any political leader in UK history, and the party trying to oust him at this time I just think is an absolute disgrace and a betrayal for all the people who voted for Corbyn like not 10 months ago.
May I say to you, I think that's the Chilcot inquiry report coming out in a fortnight. They're terrified if a man of principle, an uncorruptible man, is there in charge and makes his comments.
One thing that's great, I don't know if you saw, hashtag Keep Corbyn. Yesterday, thousands of people descended onto Parliament Square in support of their boy JC as Labour Party leader. Wow, that was an impressive spectacle. I don't think anybody expected several thousand people at 24 hours notice to be supporting Corbyn in the heart of British political life, but it happened. Wow. Didn't make much of a difference for today, however. 170 Labour MPs thereabouts, no confidence to Jeremy Corbyn, don't really have much faith in his leadership of the Labour Party, don't think he can win a general election. 40 do, and that's not many, right? Nonetheless, that doesn't really matter. It seems academic because he has the support of the membership. They're who voted him in. They'll probably vote him in again, almost certainly, right? And of course, he has the support of the trade unions, who, by the way, fund this party.
You've got the entire Tory establishment behind you, all the right-wingers, the newspapers, corrupt journalists, MPs who refuse to work with him. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Do you feel good about that?
The votes cast for each candidate are as follows. Jeremy Corbyn, 313,209. Owen Smith, 193,229.
Not all of them are Labour members, but they were savouring their victory.
This isn't a cult of Corbyn. This is about policies, and we agree with the policies, the socialist policies that the Labour Party is putting forward. So it's a great victory today, and we're absolutely delighted.
I'm not saying he'll win it, but he deserves a chance to fight the general election because he's been chosen leader twice now, democratically, with a huge mandate. Let him have a campaign. Let's see what happens.
He's made a plea for unity. He said that, the party can unite with him. It's their call whether or not they decide to do that.
But Labour could be in trouble if they don't, couldn't it?
Labour's been in trouble for a very long time. I don't think we can blame Corbyn for that. I think Blair's really to blame for that one.
Well, let's get the reaction now of the writer and broadcaster Paul Mason.
I want there to be a radical left-wing Labour Party, and I think we've now got 650,000 members. We had something like 140,000 last year. I'm pretty certain most of them want the same as what I want, which is for Labour to return to its social democratic roots, to be radical, to modernise those principles for a technologically innovative era, and start defending ordinary people against what capitalism is throwing at them.
And do you feel that that does mean there has to be an element of purging within the party, of removing those people who don't support that
project?
I've
had enough purges, I'm afraid, this summer. No, absolutely not. I think, the hard thing for let's call them the right and centre of the Labour Party, the Blairites and the old Brownites, the hard thing for them to get their heads around is that, yes, we've always been an alliance, a big broad family, but not since the 1930s has the left been the head of the family. And he's pretty decisively done it again. Now, that is hard to get your head around. We need to sit round tables around, have a pint together and work out.
But in your view, that alliance of left, right, centre should continue?
Absolutely. And I think that I would like to see the shadow cabinet reflect it. I don't think we need to have elections for that to happen. I think if we had elections, the danger is the MPs are going to put themselves at odds again with the membership. We don't want that. But I think if we can pull this off, everybody has their obsession, everybody has their thing they want to achieve in left-wing politics, and I think we can synergise what people want, the left, right and centre. I, for example, as a Corbyn supporter, am pro-Trident. I don't agree with him on Trident. I don't think I agree with him completely on his line on Syria. But I backed him because I think only economic radicalism will reconnect us with the people out there on Merseyside, 3 miles away from here, who don't care what's happening here, who regard me standing in a suit as some kind of alien being.
That is a big...
I have just chaired a meeting of the Cabinet where we agreed that the government should call a general election to be held on the 8th of June.
Come out of hiding and let's have a debate. Our proposals are of hope for the many all over this country, and I'm very proud to present our manifesto for the many, not the few.
And what we're saying is the Conservatives are the largest party. Note, they don't have an overall majority at this stage. 314 for the Conservatives, that's down 17. 266 for Labour, that's up 34. Well, the Prime Minister called this election because she wanted, as she put it, certainty and stability. And this doesn't seem, at this stage, to look like certainty and stability.
People voted for hope. Young people and old people all came together yesterday. Very high turnout, huge increase in the Labour vote.
and they did it because they want to see things done differently and they want hope in their lives.
In Coventry, one of the cities where Labour performed better than expected, those themes still resonated.
I hear a lot of people, kind of friends and stuff, talking about it's better for the underprivileged, and which is excellent. I think it's what society ultimately really needs.
A lot of my friends went out to vote, and we all went for the Labour Party because it does affect us.
He did strike a chord with certainly with us, was the education for the schools, the free meals.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you all for coming.
It was dismissed as merely an internal Labour revolution of left-wing party activists. But it grew and it grew. It became a popular uprising.
Thank you, Gateshead!
Theresa May's snap election pumped oxygen into Corbyn's movement.
There is nothing in this manifesto about getting rid of the monarchy, which is another thing you believe in, isn't it?
Look, there's nothing in there because we're not going to do it.
His backers say this campaign allowed the public to see the real Jeremy Corbyn.
I think we've all known that he was a man of the people, but this campaign has demonstrated him as a leader. One of the definitions of being a leader is to inspire, and this guy has inspired millions of people, hundreds of thousands of young people.
He's proved the country is increasingly willing to support left-wing proposals such as renationalisation, challenging the Blair formula that success means compromise.
And you know what the turning point was? When we produced this.
Those who a year ago were calling for him to resign now accept he's the leader.
My word, once he'd hit the campaign trail, he was transformed into something completely different. I mean, he had a sort of character explosion.
You've also said each day I try and think of ways to undermine Jeremy Corbyn.
I did say that, yes.
Well, that was a mistake, wasn't it?
Well, no, I wasn't alone amongst people who found his performance disappointing.
If he'd had your backing, he might have done a lot better.
Well, he might have done.
And the real hole in the logic and rationale of the Labour right is that they don't have an explanation of what went wrong. It's as if like a meteor hit them, and that's the only explanation, the meteor being 2008, the financial crisis. And yet if you look at it, they fueled it. Tony Blair, 2005, IPPR speech. Why is the Financial Services Authority heavying the banks? They've done nothing wrong. Ed Balls, we want massive deregulation. Ed Balls said, while investors are constantly pushing us for greater safeguards, city friends, we're not going to do it. We will always do it to your satisfaction. And then Gordon Brown, golden age of finance. It's as if it's a painful experience, and our bodies often try and forget painful experiences. Blairism had the painful experience of causing the world to blow up. I'm afraid that's partly what it did, and then it wants to forget about it.
How does it happen that the 8 wealthiest people on this planet own more wealth than the bottom half of the world's population, 3.4 billion people? And just the other day, in the UK, against all of the predictions, the Labour Party there won 30 new seats. And they won those seats not by moving to the right, not by becoming more conciliatory. They won those seats by standing up to the ruling class of the UK.
It's the week of the annual Labour Party conference here in Brighton, and about 100 metres away, the official event is taking place with all big speakers from the podium. But a lot of younger people, and indeed older people, have come to a separate independent set of events by Momentum. Momentum's a campaign group set up out of Jeremy Corbyn's leadership campaign, and it's continued to mobilise people, turn them into campaigners, to open up topics for debate. So we're here to talk to some people and find out why they've decided to come to Momentum's version of the annual conference.
I mean, it's vibrant. People are rethinking the important questions. It's not just about people from the top telling people what to do. There's a serious discussion going on over here about how we should reorganise the country.
I'm a Labour Party member. I campaigned for my CLP in the snap election, but I was trained by Momentum And the way they engaged me was much more dynamic than the CLP, and it was much more about actually having real conversations with people on the doorstep, not just getting the voter data. And I kind of thought, this is the way to campaign. It's not how I've been taught by them.
There's a contradiction in the Labour Party that runs along the lines of Fabianism and movement politics. Fabianism is about electing or putting people in power who are experts, who will act in the interest of the working class. Movement politics is about empowering people and about the movement and about giving people power in their workplaces, and it's more bottom up.
Despite all that enthusiasm, Momentum does have some challenges. One is it's an organisation built around Jeremy Corbyn, but which wants to be democratic in how it operates. Another is that it wants to keep politics fun, but also get involved in the nitty-gritty of policy making. And yet this week, an organisation which is only 2 years old has achieved something pretty impressive, and that's to get people who wouldn't normally go to a party conference to get involved, to go to events, and then potentially to go out and campaign for the Labour Party in the next general election. And that's something that have got the Tory party in particular pretty worried.
Part of Jeremy Corbyn's success was his ability to appeal to Remain and Leave voters, with a policy on Brexit that was vague enough to appeal to both camps. And this election has undoubtedly strengthened his influence on the EU negotiations. The question is, how does he apply that influence?
Tories, Tories, Tories!
In Parliament Square, supporters can't be specific, but are optimistic.
I do trust Jeremy Corbyn's Brexit because I feel like I know what his principles are.
Victorious, but still in second place. Corbyn isn't in government, but he's knocking at the gate.
A short while ago, voting finished in elections for new members of Labour's National Executive Committee. That's the party's governing body, which sets its strategic direction and oversees the policy-making process. So what's at stake in the contest? The NEC, as it's known, currently has 39 members, mostly composed of elected politicians, trade union representatives and members from constituency Labour parties. It's been finely balanced between members seen as those sympathetic to the Labour leader's plans and those broadly sceptical. At the 2017 conference, Labour decided to create 3 new positions representing party members, in response to the membership rising to more than 600,000 under Jeremy Corbyn. 9 candidates are competing for the 3 seats, and it's expected that the more pro-Corbyn trio will win. They're backed by Momentum, whose leader, John Landsman, is one of the candidates and a long-time advocate for a more left-wing Labour. There's concern among some in the party that this will entrench the power of those most enthusiastic about Jeremy Corbyn. Separately today is also the deadline for Labour members to give their views on the first phase of the party's democracy review, which is carried out by Jeremy Corbyn's close ally, Katie Clark. The proposals will be discussed by the NEC later this month. Well, our reporter Elizabeth Glinker spoke to John Landsman and asked him what his priority was if he wins a place on the NEC and why the contest had been so hard fought.
My priority is to see that the party becomes more of a members-led party, with members empowered, trusted, enabled to do what's necessary to win the next election. I think they've shown in the recent election what 600,000 members can do.
Of course, we've got the first proposals of the democracy review expected this month.
Yes.
Is this review about making it easier for your faction to dominate and silence the people that you don't agree with?
Not at all. I mean, look, first of all, there have always been differences of view. I actually am delighted that the Labour Party, after 2 leadership elections, admittedly, has now, recognised that Jeremy's going to stay leader until he chooses otherwise, and so we're now uniting around a real alternative to austerity.
Is this process about deselections? When you talk about democracy and the views of the members, the new members being heard, are we talking about deselections?
We will not campaign to deselect anybody, but it's right that the members get to choose who is the best person to represent, to stand for election and represent them in Parliament. And we've got 600,000 members now. who know their communities and who know the people they work with in their workplaces, and they are in the best position to make judgments about who the right candidates are. There are hundreds of thousands of members who are enthusiastic about the change to the Labour Party, and it's brought them into activity. It's tripled the size of the party. I think that, how can you see that as anything other than a good thing?
Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accepted that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time in you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you're gonna sink like a stone, for the times they are